Escape room employees, what's the stupidest thing you've seen someone do to try and get out? This was our group. We were having trouble with the last puzzle to get out, which involved pressing multiple buttons. We couldn't figure out the sequences and finally asked for a hint. The employee just said all together, so now instead of pushing all the buttons at the same time, we all put our hands on the doorknob, assuming the power of friendship was what was needed to get out. Not an employee, but an employee probably thought we were dumb as hell. My husband, his brother, his brother's wife and I went into an escape room not long before closing to see if they had time for us. He said sure, but could only offer one room. Candyland. My husband and his brother are good at puzzles. My sister-in-law and I are not. However, neither my husband nor my brother could figure out many of the challenges. Despite giving us lots of extra help and some extra time, the employee ended up coming in to show us how to get out. She joked, "What are you guys, colorblind?" We went silent. My husband, his brother and I are all colorblind. His brother and I are on the same spectrum while my husband is a totally different type. Which explains why the brother and I kept arguing with my husband about different challenges. Something my group did. The scenario of the room was we were captured and they had us all handcuffed to a cot in the room. We could move around a little bit with the chain attached to the cuffs, and since it was a small room with a light on the desk, we could grab most of the puzzles and bring it to the cot. We solved a lot of the puzzles, still not finding the key to the cuffs to get free. With only a small desk lamp for light, it was hard to see most of the writing, but we made do and continued to solve things. About 20 minutes of solving things still cuffed to the cot, the GM sends us a message saying, you can turn on the lights. Next to the door was a light switch, and after turning on the room lights on the black wall right next to us was a black key hanging on a nail. The key to the cuffs. One of the benefits of going to new escape rooms is listening to the opening spiel about what you can't do in the room. I think my first ever escape room, that the operator specifically told us we couldn't pull off the electrical outlet covers. I figured someone had been watching too much Breaking Bad. There is a note in one of our rooms that specifies that teams can't put anything electrical on a hook. This group came in and rewired one of the RFID sensors, which was hidden underneath a painting which is screwed to the wall, because the note mentioned something about electrical stuff and it was hanging off. Do not kill anyone. I dunno. Like the note mentioned killing? So we bludgeoned Kevin. Someone else posted this story where at some point you find a screwdriver. The point was to unscrew a clock you found previously to get to key. Instead, one guy started taking apart all the furniture. Started unscrewing fixtures off the wall. Alright. We found the number. It's 3 plus 4. That's 11. None of his 3 teammates questioned him. They kept trying the wrong number. I even teased them, repeating it back to them. I love my job. I just assume any non-common rules given at the beginning are because some idiot has already done it. Don't jump out the 2-story window. Don't eat or drink anything that you find. Don't try to climb into the ceiling. Don't touch anything with an orange sticker, which turns out to be 80% of the room, including electrical sockets. My wife likes to tell a story on how a previous male friend of hers was introduced to escape rooms. However, someone, either a friend or the employee, failed to explain that not all things in the room are meant to be taken apart, broken to receive a clue key. As soon as the employee started the clock, the friend, thinking a wicker chair had a clue, walked over and stomped his foot right through the seat, like a foot falling through a thin sheet of ice. Immediately, the employee on the intercom stutters. Yeah, you didn't have to break the chair. Props shouldn't need to be broken to get a clue. My wife mentions this story every now and then, and I still get a kick out of the thought of someone just shoving their foot through someone's old wicker chair. Not an employee but a participant. My group went to a pirate ship themed escape room. One of the puzzles involved pressing lit up labeled buttons on a wall in a particular sequence to unlock a door. A common theme, to me, in this room was water. There were exposed water pipes that had cartoonish signs on them reading "Do not touch." And one of the lights on the wall read water and the light behind it was out. I had to have fixated on this for a good 30 minutes. I tried unscrewing parts of the water pipes, pressing the water button while trying to open parts of the pipe. Everything. After we finally moved on and finished, the GM told us that the room had nothing to do with water. I was actually just messing with their water system. I did the stupidest thing I've heard of. There was a row of chairs. Just regular chairs you might see at a conference. I noticed that only one of them had the label with a barcode and serial number stuck to the bottom, so I assumed it was intentional and started trying to apply the 10+ digit serial number to everything in the room. The game master told me I wasn't the first one. Makes me wonder why they didn't just remove the label like they did on the other chairs. Some dude tried to jam a small iron bar into an electrical socket. Not sure if he was trying to escape the room or life in general. A colleague managed to get to the main electrical switch before the idiot could electrocute himself. Jams metal into socket. Circuit breaker flips and all lights go out. Yes. Progress. We have some windows in our rooms with obvious labels saying please don't open window. But when we get the drunks, yes, at least once a month we'll get one drunk person who ignores the label and tries climbing out the window. An employee of an escape room told me this one. The room was in English, but one of the guys was Italian and for some unknown reason couldn't communicate that he wanted to go to the toilet beforehand. So they go into the room. There is a bucket there that is supposed to be used as a clue. But this madman waits while the lights are still off, horror-based room, and pees in the bucket. And because the bucket was in a camera dead zone and there was a sponge in it, they found out after the room was over. Not an employee, but I once tried to use a magnetized tool behind the camera they were using to watch me because I thought there was a key there. Even the game maker was confused. So many things. One thing that really got me though, they are all given blacklight flashlights at the beginning of the game. At one point, there was a case full of books that they eventually find a key for. The trick was that they all had secret messages within that lit up with the black lights. They did not use the black lights. Instead, they thought they were supposed to read the books. Like, start to finish. There were at least 15 full books in the case. At this point they had about 35 minutes, out of an hour, to escape. They all just lay down and read the books for at least 20 minutes before they asked for a clue. Did one with friends before where you start in a small room and gradually have in the other rooms. The first room you assemble a doorknob to get out. Later a few of us went back in to put a backlight we found around the room for numbers. The door closed behind us and we realized one of us dismantled the doorknob and took it out of the room to check for other hidden doors. I'm not an employee but my friend is. One time he was complaining that guy pulled his pants down and screamed let me out of here or I'll come on everything. Haven't been to an escape room since. Rush him. He can't come on all of us. My brothers and I goofed one time. The final clue was to decipher Morse code to get the 4-digit code to type into the keypad and open the door. We are listening to the code and trying our damnedest to remember Morse code that we learned when we were younger. After about 5 minutes we remembered they gave us a Morse code cheat sheet to decipher with. Then 2 of us listen, while one writes on the whiteboard in the room. The first 4 codes are the numbers and then there was some sort of cryptic message. We kept listening over and over trying to figure out what the message was before it hit me. We already had the 4-digit code, so it didn't f***ing matter what the message said. My husband and I were going through one and I gave the person watching a good laugh. The theme was the Cuban Missile Crisis, so everything was related to the White House. We got to one of the clues and my husband says the answer was POTUS. I never hearing that term before gave him a weird look. So he said the president. Still not understanding I said there wasn't a president POTUS. He then says president of the United States and I said okay but there was no president named POTUS. We go back and forth like a comedy skit for a solid 5 minutes while I'm signing the names of the presidents, elementary teacher here, and he keeps yelling at me, the President of the United States. Finally the guy comes over the speaker to spell it out for me and then tells us we were his favorite people. Not my brightest moments. On the flip side, this reminded me of the stupidest puzzle I ever did. The theme of the room was to make as much money as possible by stealing fake cash, gold, sports memorabilia, etc. before you escape the room. At one point there was a huge fake diamond raised on a stand in a clear plastic box with small holes in the side and a larger hole at the top. Earlier in the puzzle there was a box we unlocked that contained sticks. The idea was to put the sticks through the small holes and use them to carefully lift the diamond out of the box through the hole at the top. If you dropped it, you wouldn't be able to pick it up again. I just reached through the hole in the top and grabbed the diamond by hand. The hole was way too big and the box way too short. One of my buddies got mad saying I was cheating. I defaulted back to my 6th grade math teacher's motto. Work smarter, not harder. Escape room employee here. The owner of our competitors came in and did our most difficult room. We warned him that it was a tough one, but he just shrugged us off with "I'm good with these." Well, when the time was up, we went into the room and noticed that every single padlock and combination lock was off. Weirdly, the easier puzzles were left unsolved. When asked about it, he complained that this room was too difficult and that he had picked the locks. Which of course in our rooms messes up the order of the puzzles. He then complained to management about the room. We just shook our heads and wondered how they handled things at his escape room. Had a group of engineers from Google doing a room, and this guy tried using trigonometry to solve a puzzle. What part of you will never use this in real life? Ever did they not understand? My brother owns some escape rooms, so this story is from him. In one of the rooms is a sink, and down the drain is a key. The drain comes approx 6-7 below the sink. There is a magnet on a stick in the room you are supposed to find to retrieve the key. Instead, one guy ripped the sink off the wall to get the key out instead. We had a kinky themed room and there was a St. Andrew's cross with some handcuffs with flashing lights and you had to put the cuffs in certain holes. Nope, I started to tie my sister to the cross with the cuffs. The staff were probably having a right laugh at us as they didn't tell us it wasn't necessary. Edit. Wanted to point out that I'm female. You went to a kinky themed room with your sister? And you started to tie her up? I can see by your username that you like Game of Thrones. But maybe a bit too much. Edit based on your edit. Being female doesn't make this any better. This is my personal favorite when I'm running a room. The puzzle. You find a pair of glasses and a folder with a small rectangle cut out of it. Put the glasses on and the previously plain white TV screen now reveals a list of sites. Place the folder on the screen and the one important city is written the cutout gap. What every single team always does. Puts the glasses on and then looks around the room with the folder pressed to their face. Peeking through the gap in the folder. It's a void. Cutout hole. There's no filter. No lenses. You could stick your finger through the hope and wiggle it round. Holding it to your face won't help you. If everyone has the same response and it is not correct. Is that bad puzzle design or is that just intentional? My big brother works at an escape room. The room the people were in was quite large and full of stuff but only few hints to get through. They talked for a bit and then nodded and went around the place and threw everything in the center of the room, and when they were done with throwing the went to the pile and looked through and they found the hints effective but messy. My brother said it was annoying to clean it up, there was so much stuff. Not an employee, but I have a group of friends that I do escape rooms with a lot. On one room, at some point you found a few ping pong balls and rackets. Two of us cleared a table and started playing while the other two looked at us like we were out of our minds. If you find ping pong balls and a couple of rackets, it's on. It is known. We did an escape room as a company outing once and asked the owners about their crazy experiences. They said that they always have to really prepare themselves when firefighters come through, because they generally will try to climb over obstacles instead of finding the key to unlock them, as well as break things that were for decoration, only trying to find hidden clues. They also mentioned that at one point one of the patrons just about broke one of the actors' feet. They had 2 actors in the room with you, which made it spookier, because instead of accepting that they didn't escape in time, they slammed the door on the actor, trying to keep him out so they could play longer. Wild. Said clearly during the rules that anything with a do not touch sticker was not to be touched. Said sticker was on an electrical outlet. I'm so smarter than the rest of you. Person decides the best place to put the key was in the electrical outlet. Lots of things can be credited to nerves, first time, or just whoops moments. I've had 2 groups now that immediately try every code they find on the door they entered from. Would you really be happy if the first code you found let you escaped? Seems like a waste of money to me. But hey, you guys do you. Put either the lobby or escape room on rollers. First clue opens the entry door, but by the time they've started have the rooms shift so there's an entirely different room they need to escape from. Something my group did. At the very beginning, we were supposed to find 2 keys to get through a door. We found one of the keys hidden behind a picture, but we could not find the second one at all. Instead of calling the employees for help, we used the same key for both locks to get through. To repeat what I've said in this sort of thread before, if it would take an apathetic employee more than 5-10 minutes to reset. Okay, I'm not an employee, but one of the times I went to an escape room with my sister, brother, and cousin, we decided to do something dumb. In this one escape room, it was supposed to look like a prison cell. The toilet had water in it, the sink worked, and the bars were there. It was pretty strange. So my cousin, somewhat incredibly smart, thought that something was in the toilet instantly, but he didn't know how to get it. So he thought the best idea was to drink the F-King toilet water. And I don't mean scoop. I mean like a F-King dog. On his knees, drinking it up. He then threw up twice. In the middle and end of drinking, he flushed it, thinking there must be something that would come out. But nothing did. The paper to help escape was behind the F-King toilet. We escaped soon after. Drunk guy took a shitty on the floor. As they were kicking him and his group out, he cheered all the way because he won. We were waiting for the previous group to finish so we could go and take our turn. This drunk dude thought that his dick could unlock the door. He got stuck. Needless to say, we did not get our turn. It's not that hard. Fake a medical emergency and when you are out, declare victory. As someone who actually worked at an escape room, it always bugged me when people would go to a lock and just start putting in random numbers, since it's almost impossible to get the right combination and you are basically of no use to your group, since each lock can be solved just by going through the puzzles in the room and figuring it out logically. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Once watched a bunch of former SWAT team guys simply bust down a door and write a check for damages. The most goddamned awesome Eureka thing I've ever had the pleasure to witness.